some folks would like to just have an open forum of conversation, and I'm happy to do that. I would first, if there are people who have individual things they'd like to talk to me about, why don't I do that? Those folks can then stay or go. But I do, because I kind of have two different sorts of formats. This I usually do individually, but understand obviously it has been a tumultuous last month. There's been a huge amount going on. So if you would like, if there's a specific issue that you would prefer not to talk about with the group, please raise your hand. I'll talk to you. I'll talk to you folks first, and then we'll move to an open format. Is that all right with folks? Because I do, I recognize people may want to hear what others have to say, but I don't want to obligate anyone who came under that. Here's Samantha, Ryan, Jody, and Russell, who are all here. So if you do think of things or want to talk to somebody and get some help on a particular issue for you, your family, a friend, please contact one of them and we can follow up with you, either try to get that information today or follow up with you. So thank you again all for coming out, and open it up. And then you're next, because I know you're ready. Yes, sir.
A quick comment and then a question, okay? I'm one of those, as a student of government, I'm greatly concerned about big money and secret money in campaigns.
Mm-hmm.
That, coupled with gerrymandered safe districts, Democrats as well as Republicans, I think is very, very bad. Lack of competition in the country. And number three is the decline of journalism, particularly local journalism, to keep you guys all honest. So I mean that in a real sense. Question. This has to do with something that you're involved in and your husband is deeply involved in here, is DEEP. That's my wife's 2003 Honda out there, good car. And we keep track of the mileage regularly, and it got 21.5 miles per gallon regularly until the EPA mandated 10% corn ethanol. Corn ethanol, I'm preaching to the choir. You already know this, all right? Because this is where politics has trumped science again and again and again. There's no need for corn ethanol except for presidential political campaigns in Iowa and in Illinois, and for the farmers' lobby on the thing. And big industry that's growing. That car used to get 21. We keep track every fill-up. Used to get 21.5 miles per gallon. Now it's down to 16.5 miles per gallon. The drop on that, 30 to 40%, is outrageous. Meanwhile, prices are going up on corn, on meat, and everything worldwide, and Congress does nothing about it. And the other thing that you already know, your husband certainly knows, it takes more BTUs to make corn ethanol than you ever save in the thing. This is one of the great outrages of politics over what's your view on that? Do you intend to do anything?
I agree with you. I agree with you on the corn-based ethanol is not sensible for 4 pounds output. You have 3 parts input. It's very, very inefficient. Cellulosic ethanol makes sense. There are other things that make sense. Corn does not. You are absolutely right. It's a function of the Iowa. It's a function of the Iowa caucuses, and that has been.
And there's one other thing. I want you to think big about something important. It's not your district, but this is something you can team up with Jim Hines with, because he's very interested. It has to do with traffic here in Connecticut, particularly on I-95. Okay, you're going to have to do like was done back in the 30s by in New York City. And you got to think big. What you need is just like they're doing in Switzerland with the Alpine Basis Tunnel and the Gotthard Basis Tunnel. You build a tunnel under New York Harbor, and then you force all the trucks that are going interstate onto those drivers and all, get them through, and let them get off either there or by boat. On the train, let them get off at Bridgeport, New Haven, Providence, wherever they want. But that's the only way you're ever going to get a lot of that truck traffic. I know the Connecticut Motor Association won't like that, but you've got to have to get those trucks off there and onto either trains or boats. But I think the trains will be far more efficient since we've got four tracks down there.
Well, I'm on the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee, and one of the reasons I work very hard to get on that committee, we haven't had anyone in Congress on the House side who's been on that committee for 20 years.
In Switzerland, they forced the European Union trucks onto there, and they don't let them off in Switzerland at all because of what they're doing, burning up and closing down like the Mont Tunnel.
Exactly. So it is something. I'm on the Rail Committee. We're actually doing a hearing on some of the problems that happened over the last couple of months, actually. Senator Blumenthal and Congressman Himes and I had one on Monday morning, and I'm on the Rail subcommittee, and I'm working very hard to see what we can do to increase
These
rail
trains,
traffic.
you're talking about 110 miles an hour. When I was in the U.S. Army in Bordeaux, France, we went 110 miles an hour from Bordeaux down to the Spanish border
Ours are
back
not
in the early
very-
50s.
Ours are not very fast trains. Our fast trains are not very fast, and clearly, given how congested we are in Connecticut, expanding our highways is really not something we have any space to do. So we're gonna have to do several things. We're gonna have to much more efficiently use rail and expand rail. And we are actually gonna have to more efficiently use our highways. I mean, certainly they have to function better than they do now. You know, we managed to spend however many tens of millions of dollars to move the bottleneck on 84, you know, a little bit closer to the Waterbury. I mean, I'm in Cheshire, so we saw that go on for years and years and years, and it moved, what, a mile and a half down the road. And they're about to get that started again, but we need to get moving on that because the Mixmaster is gonna collapse if we don't replace it. If you look, you can see holes in it. It's pretty scary. So it's a very high priority for me to work on the infrastructure and transportation systems across the country, but particularly in Connecticut and in the Northeast. I remember when we did a survey of businesses 5 or 6 years ago, I was on the town council in Cheshire, it was the #1 complaint of businesses was difficulty with transportation. And I was meeting with some companies, some manufacturers a week ago, and they said transportation is a really big issue for them. I met with folks in the construction trades. Transportation is a big issue for them. So this is clearly a critical issue for our state, for the U.S. And actually this week, minor hopeful signs in light of the dysfunction and the breakdown in Congress, we actually passed a bill that I'm a co-sponsor of on Wednesday. It passed 417 to 3. It's a major infrastructure bill, hasn't been passed, it's on water. It is not one of those exciting titles, but it's water resources. This is about dredging harbors and ports, about inland waterways, about levees, locks and dams. A fair amount of our transportation in the country moves actually on waterways.
And getting ready for the new Panama Canal.
Exactly, we've got the post-Panama Canal is opening next year. U.S. ports are not ready to accommodate those boats, and it is, you know, billions of dollars of commerce that we miss losing out on as a country. And so that bill, which was a result of compromise for 2.5 months of negotiation, Democrats and Republicans sitting quietly at a table, talking about how we could get a bill through that people would vote for, and it passed overwhelmingly. And we're going to be able to, and we were able to cut out $12 billion for really old projects that long dead members of Congress had voted for and authorized, had never been built. We have $70 billion, $60 or $70 billion of projects that are approved that have never been built. And they gum up our ability to get newer projects like the hub, which we need done right now. So I've been working really closely with the Army Corps of Engineers. We brought them into our whole district to have them look here at the hub. Torrington's having some issues with its levee. They had me look at their dams on the Housatonic and on the Naugatuck. So these are bread and butter issues. You don't read any headlines about them, but if we're going to get people back to work and get our economy functioning well, we have to be able to move people and product around the country. And so I wanted to let you know that bill's now passed both the Senate and the House. It's going to go to a committee that will meld the two versions together, and then we'll actually get the first major bill of this entire Congress signed by the President and put into work and improve infrastructure. So I'm trying to focus my efforts to the extent I can on things that I think are really going to matter for us here and will really help across the country, and find an ability to work common cause with Democrats and Republicans all over the country, because these are American problems. It's going to take us all working together to get them done. And so that bill got no press whatsoever, but it should have, because actually that's the way things are supposed to be.